Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And we got another Xbox Game Pass update for the month of August. Earlier this month, I did say it was possible that this is the best month yet for Xbox Game Pass, and well, I'm becoming more and more convinced that is the case. So don't go anywhere, and I will give you all of the latest on Xbox Game Pass. Also, one of PlayStation 5's launch games has unfortunately been delayed. Big surprise being the year of 2020 where everything seems to go wrong, but we will talk about that as well. Before we get into all that though, we do have a lot more to discuss, starting off with Nintendo. Nintendo did do a Nintendo Indie Direct today, or to be more specific, a Nintendo Indie World Showcase. This is where they highlight some of the more exciting independent games coming over to the Switch, and there was some good-looking games here, several of which you can actually go out and play today. Yeah, that's right, there was several shadow drops here, including a game that I've had my eye on for a long time, Spiritfarer. Now this game actually looks really interesting with a beautiful art style. The thing about this game though is that it looks like it's going to be in an emotional journey, as your main objective is to guide lost spirits to the afterlife. Obviously you may create a bond with these characters, so saying your final goodbye may end up being a little bittersweet. So I'm very interested to see how this game turns out, and luckily it is available today for $30. That is a little expensive though, and we will talk about that a little more in just a bit. Nintendo was not done there either though, because you can also play Raji and Ancient Epic, Takeshi and Hiroshi, A Short Hike, Manifold Garden, and Evergate, which are all available today. Several of these look very good, and if you like Ori and the Blind Forest, Evergate looks very interesting. It has a similar design as Ori and the Blind Forest, though it's being explained as a 2D puzzle platformer, but I gotta say, I think this game really stood out to me. If it plays as good as it looks, Evergate will be a good game. Actually, if you've played it, let me know your thoughts about Evergate in the comments below. I haven't played it, so I'd be very interested in hearing what you have to say about this game. Now there was a few cool surprises here as well, including Subnautica coming to the Switch in 2021. Also, you have Giant Squid's most recent game, Hades. Torchlight 3 got announced for the Switch, and last but not least, we got a nice update for the 2019 surprise hit, Untitled Goose Game. I actually have Untitled Goose Game listed as one of the Nintendo Switch's best independent games, and if you enjoyed it, well, starting September 23rd, you will be able to play it with your friend as well. Yeah, now you control people together as geese. This will be a free update, but it is important to note that this is only a couch co-op game, so unfortunately you will not be able to play this online. Still though, I do think that this Nintendo Indie Direct was very good, and there is a lot of good-looking games here to either play today or to look forward to in the future. Moving on though, the Epic vs. Apple saga has taken a crazy turn for the worst. Of course, last week, Epic broke the terms of service with Apple by trying to bypass the payment method for iOS devices on Fortnite, but instead you would directly be able to pay Epic, which in return would be cheaper for consumers. Well, Apple didn't really like that too much and since has banned Fortnite from iOS devices, and Epic Games retaliated by trying to sue Apple for monopolistic behavior. Yeah, this whole situation is just a mess, and it has left mobile users of Fortnite in a bit of frustration as these two giant companies battle it out in court. Well, things just got a lot worse, and it's also unfortunately going to affect developers across the entire industry, because now Apple has decided to terminate all Epic Games accounts and tool access starting August 28th. The big problem here is that this affects Unreal Engine, which a lot of developers use, and from the sounds of it, iOS will no longer support Unreal Engine games after the 28th. I believe this is only for games in development and not games that's already on iOS devices, but that is a huge blow for Epic Games, as well as the developers who were making games using Unreal Engine. Now, Epic has filed a court order to stop this from happening, but this shows Apple is very serious about this. Epic Games declared war, and now you're seeing these two huge companies go back and forth, and sadly, it's the little guys who may end up suffering, as they may no longer be able to use Unreal Engine for iOS devices. Granted, they can just use other devices for the time being, but there are a lot of iOS devices out there, so that's a big missed opportunity for these developers. Hopefully Epic and Apple comes to some kind of agreement soon, but things are definitely ugly right now. Let's move on to something a little more positive though, because Baldur's Gate 3 now has an official release date for early access. On September 30th, you will finally see the return to the legendary RPG franchise with Baldur's Gate 3. Keep in mind though that this is an early access game, and even though Larian Studios is an amazing developer behind games like Divinity Original Sin, this will be a work in progress. If you go over to the Steam page for Baldur's Gate 3, they do give several details as to what this means, and they do make it very apparent that there is still a lot of bugs in this game. They want to put it in players' hands now so they will ultimately end up making a better game in the long term when the game officially launches. There is no exact date when it will launch, but they're expecting it to be in early access for at least a year, so you will be jumping in very early on. With that said, you will get access to Act 1, which is roughly 25 hours worth of content, so you're going to get a lot of playtime here. From what we have seen of this game though, it does look excellent, and I do trust Larian Studios. Divinity Original Sin 2 was incredible, so if you're a fan of either Larian Studios or the old Baldur's Gate games, this early access may be worth it. You would get to help the development team out by giving some of your impressions and advice, so hey, I think this is great news. In other news, Xbox Game Pass has posted another update for more August games, and this has just been an insane month. So let's take a look at the second half of August for Xbox Game Pass. We talked about this one earlier, but Spiritfarer will be coming to Xbox Game Pass Day 1. So if you don't want to pay that $30 and you have an Xbox Game Pass subscription, there you go. Also, Battletoads, which remains my most anticipated game, Don't Starve Giant Edition, New Super Lucky's Tale, Hypospace Outlaw, Don't Nod's next game, Tell Me Why, Wasteland 3, Double Kick Heroes, Flight Simulator, which released today, Crossing Souls, Darksiders Genesis, and Crusaders King 3. Yeah, that is an insane lineup and a lot of games to look forward to. They're also starting the month strong in September with Resident Evil 7, so there's your big AAA game. Xbox Game Pass is just so good though. I mean, you have Flight Simulator, which is out today, and that has a 93 on Metacritic, so that goes to show you the quality there. And then you have Spiritfarer, and that's a Day 1 launch title, and a good looking one at that. Now, I said earlier this month that this lineup was shaping up to be the best yet. You have 4 Xbox Game Studios games here with Flight Simulator, Battletoads, which again looks excellent, and then you're ending the month with Tell Me Why and Wasteland 3. I mean, you're getting all these games Day 1, and then when you look at the first half of this month as well, it's just insane how good Xbox Game Pass truly is. The only problem is that I don't always have enough time to play all of these games. My backlog just continuously grows thanks to Xbox Game Pass. But there it is, another great month for Xbox Game Pass, and this has just become such a common thing anymore. Moving on, let's talk about PlayStation. We got a couple topics here, starting off with PlayStation 5's interesting cooling solution. Now, if you remember, earlier this year, Bloomberg reported that Sony was struggling with the price of the PlayStation 5 due to costly parts, and very specifically, one of these parts was their cooling solution. Well, we got some new information that may explain why this has been such an issue, as a new patent has come out revealing that the PlayStation 5 may be using liquid metal cooling. Keep in mind that this is just a patent, so this is not a confirmation, but at the very least, Sony has thought about using liquid metal cooling for the PlayStation 5, which does make sense. The way the PlayStation 5 specs work is that they basically overclock or boost the PlayStation 5 in order to achieve 10.28 teraflops. In other words, the PlayStation 5 does not run 10.28 consistent teraflops, and that it will go up and down depending on what developers choose to do. This is why several people claim that the PlayStation 5's real power is around 9.2 teraflops rather than 10.28, but by boosting or overclocking, you are going to put out some major heat, and that can be rather concerning. Well, it looks like Sony's solution may be a little out of the box thinking with liquid metal cooling, which would definitely explain why they were having issues with the pricing of their cooling solution. With that said, liquid metal cooling would be a dramatic increase on cooling and should do away with the jet engine that is the PlayStation 4 Pro, but it's also important to note that this does not increase performance. I have been seeing some confusion there, but the performance will remain the same, but should allow the PlayStation 5 to run higher frequencies without those heating concerns. There was even a rumor at one point in time that the PlayStation 5 was having heating issues, but this would solve that if that was even true in the first place. So this is good news if true, and it really is an interesting solution by Sony. I am very curious to see if this is their final solution though, because we've never seen this in a console before. And hey, maybe the PlayStation 5 runs a little bit more quiet thanks to this. We also do have some unfortunate news for the PlayStation 5, as a major launch game has been delayed. Yes, sadly, Arcane's upcoming PlayStation 5 game, Deathloop, will be delayed to Q2 2021. This isn't overly surprising, as we have seen a number of games get delayed this year, as we have been navigating a lot of worldwide issues where companies are now working from home. This has led to development issues, and I'm just going to say the same thing I did with Halo Infinite. I know some fans are going to be disappointed by this, and suddenly the launch of next-generation consoles don't look as good as they did before said delay, but at the same time, these delays are necessary to ultimately give us a better product in the long term. Arcane, of course, is a great developer putting out Dishonored, and I'm sure Deathloop will be another great game by them. We just have to be patient, and there are some other good-looking games to play this holiday. On the PlayStation 5, you have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Astro's Playroom, and who knows, there may still be a few announcements left, so don't get too discouraged by this. I will ask you though, does this affect your plans on buying a PlayStation 5 at launch? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.